Okay, my friends, another spectacular shocker du jour. This is not what it looks like. And you say, oh, come on, what does it look like? What does it look like to you? Well, most people, oh, that's a dinosaur head, or that's a dragon's head, or some kind of a head with an eyeball here and a nasty looking face. Well, maybe, but I don't think so. I'm going to show you what I think it is, and we're going to go through this video, I'll show you his Topo, I think is the name of the channel, but I will show it clearly who did this. And nice job. And this is very interesting, but I do believe I know what it is, and it's nothing that you would ever suspect, ever. Now, everybody's wondering what this thing is, and I'm getting a whole batch of people sent me things, and here's, I see in the comments, I wonder what Mudfossil University would make of this. Roger Spur, Mudfossil University YouTube channel will help and answer your questions, and I would love to. And this is Topo Traveler. Let me get to the top here. And everybody's wondering what it is, and they're making all these statements. And I think I posted on here, but I don't think I'm still on here. I don't know. Most people don't like me discussing their things, and I really appreciate being able to do this. This is a Fair Use Act. Everybody has the right to comment. You can use any of my stuff and comment on it. I'm just going to show you what I have to show about what he's showing. And I would love to engage with some of these guys and have them do some things, you know, and look into some things that I have evidence about. And I see not a whole lot of engagement in that area. Maybe he will. We'll find out. I'd love to be able to get this kind of input, and I can get it right by watching the videos of these guys. And they're fabulous. They're doing a great job. We need this done. Very important. Okay, so now this is a little further into it, and he's transitioned out of the sand onto the slick rock, and it's as you can see, that is his basement layer of some kind of other tissue, or it was under the skin, and all the milky marbles ran down. This could be the underlayment of the skin, but it's obviously some form of tissue. I believe all of that, he's moving up, and all of that stuff ran down. He called it sand. Well, it's eroded flesh with silicates, yes. So you call it sand if you want, but it's a lot of that was like a muddy stuff. Now this is where it eroded from, I believe. Okay, I'm going to just make a bunch of claims as I go along here. What the dirt he's walking on here is eroded skin, and he's going to be talking about these milky marbles. I've shown a million times. They are in the interstitium, which is the skin.
Are these little iron concretions that they call milky balls, and they're just covering the trail. They're everywhere. So I also...
Yeah, it's because he's walking on skin, and this dusty stuff is the eroded skin, and it left the balls. He's saying this slick rock is pretty expansive. The whole thing is like this, going up the hill. All that stuff ran down where he was claiming, boy, there's milky marbles all everywhere. Yes, because this was skin at one time. And this right here is the flesh. You see that, all that little stuff in there? That's how flesh is. That's not just erosion. And as we get deeper and deeper into this, it will just become more and more apparent. All right, he's walking on this tissue right here, and he says we're going to be walking on this stuff for a couple of miles. Okay, here's another spot. He's asking about how this formed, and he says this is cool. Pretty sure this is just caused by some of the layers of sandstone. Well, it's actually body tissue.
Bleached.
You see it up here? This is body
red
tissue.
Iron, but I'm not quite sure.
Red iron is from, and there's some blood. This is the vein stuff. And this is just nothing but biology for as far as I can see and further. Okay, something I want to look into is, you know, you can see this, and you see that open hole there, and then you see these things here. Now, I don't think these are bushes, and I would like to know what they look like real close, and I think he might show this. I haven't watched this yet. Like I said, I'm going to drag you through the soup with me. Everybody wants to know what it is. Well, let's find out. Okay, he's sort of wondering about this. Here's a spot where the rock is fractured into kind of a checkerboard.
Checkerboard pattern, kind of just like on checkerboard Mesa and Zion. So
they're all over. It's bodily tissue. The whole area out there is nothing but body parts. Now, I don't know how many actual creatures are there, but Yellowstone, they just showed the lungs that are in Yellowstone, and it actually has, well, let me just show you that quick before we go on. You see this? This is from the Smithsonian. They thought there was a huge big layer of magma under Yellowstone. This is the caldera. But they discovered they have these different regions, and they're different types of materials. There's basaltic melt, which is magma, but they call it basaltic, so it has some basalt characteristics. And then you go into rhyolithic melt, and then this one transition basalt to rhyolithic. It's some of each. And then this is where your hydrothermal bubbling and all that stuff. But this is under Yellowstone, and this is absolutely friggin' enormous. It's nothing but body parts all over the world. Everywhere, everywhere. Now, this is what this looks like in us. There's the two lungs. There's some of the plumbing up here in the body, heart, and so forth. Wherever there's a lot of blood is what causes magma, and that and decomposition of fecal matter and all that stuff, your intestines and all that. But those don't erupt. They erupt differently. When they're plugged up solid and they just get bigger, bigger, pow, they go. These here has this boiling point, so it releases its energy out through the boiling point. Now look at this. You see this here? You see this here? You got plumbing over the top of your two lungs. So you got your lungs coming down this way. You got a little bit of plumbing stuff going on here, and then you got this going out, and then the boiling lava, the boiling caldera. there's the lungs. This, I think, is, heart-ish stuff in here, probably the heart and whatever is up in that area. And then it goes off to the side, just like I showed you. This is where the blood goes. And this comes up to your throat. This is I don't know what kind of creature it is, but that was a creature. In my mind, there's no way you can ever convince me it isn't. And it has different, whatever this chemistry is, it's boiling off here. It's got those little two flares going off the side. It's mostly where it's blood. Lungs are saturated with blood. Your heart is saturated with blood. These tubes coming up are saturated with blood. And then it goes out through and bubbles up here. But the blood is the key. You see these coming off, blood, lungs. The lungs are filled up with blood, but they have a lot of actually fibers like this. It actually has rubber bags around them just like this. Except it's, anyway, it's just what we got is what we got. So he's obviously transitioning between skin to some kind of organ stuff, whatever this is this an underlayment basement or something? But there's no question in my mind. I don't see how anybody could deny that that's biological. This is not just happen accidentally, this sliding around. No. All right, the first thing to remember, we don't know what kind of creature this is. This could have been like Quetzalcoatl, it could be like Scorbzilla, it could be like Typhon, it could be some kind of other who knows what. But the point is, this is biological. Of that, I am absolutely 2,000% positive. What kind of biology? I don't know. Where this is in the body? I don't know. Something has eroded off of it. That I do know. All right, here's another great spot. He says it was similar to the Sahara Desert, and I could see these are, I believe they're sarcomeres, or at least some type of tissue. You see how they break off? The whole thing, everything here is some form of body creatures. I mean, this was probably here is still part of this same creature. This thing is stunningly large. And when I show you what the little pit he's going into and what it actually is, it's a shocker du jour. There's just no other way to put it. Okay, he's saying right now it's rugged, and I think the sandstone we're walking on is, and he's going to continue. Now, you see this? That is nothing more than tissue layers, but extremely invaded with silicates. That tells me that there was a huge amount of water in this area, absolutely stunning amount, and filled this up with this super saturated silicates, which were from the impact of Venus long ago. But it had to fill up and stay pretty up there to create so much sand. Sand is a product of siliceous ooze, silicates, which are heavy. They're heavy, but they quickly invade and with nucleophilic substitution. They go in there and invade and stabilize. And that's what causes quartz and sandstone and all that stuff. And that was the only time that happened was from the Great Flood, and when everything was super saturated with silicates. Yale agrees with that. Look it up. Was exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures due to silica-rich oceans. That's their paper. So this sand is silica-rich. Now that is quite obviously some form of a transition zone from this up to this. It's not sedimentation, it's not just, it's biology. I'm not exactly sure, because this thing is so enormous, this could be a toenail or something. All right, so he's been walking several miles across this area. Now, you see these things right here? This is what I want to know from him. And I hope there's going to be some more, and I think there was. I just skimmed through it real quickly, and then I figured, well, I'll do this with everybody else. Let's continue. All right, this is they call pillow basalt. This is nothing more than some form of a membrane. Now, he's heading up to where he thinks it is. All right, all I can tell you is this is just nothing but biology. All these things, these little layering, that is not sedimentation. What this is, I don't know. What kind of creature it is, I don't know. But I'm going to tell you what, I imagine even these huge things way in the background are still part of this creature. They were that big. I mean, literally thousands of miles long. It's just, that's why people have such a hard time getting their head around this. And again, when I show you what these are going to find, it's just another shocker. I mean, way shocker. Okay, get ready. He's coming around the corner. That's where that head-looking thing is. Pay attention to the type of material we have here. You see all these little creases? You see all that? And you see all of this? You're going to see a lot of red-looking, bloody, stripy stuff. And I'll explain to you every little detail in a second.
There it is. Too bad it's winter. It's mostly in the shade, but that's still so beautiful. And the sand is so orange. It is. Those pictures were not lying.
Look at that.
Wow.
Now look around here at this stuff. And also what I want you to see is there's a pocket-looking thing here. An eyeball.
That is so much bigger than I thought. And it's so much oranger than I thought. I don't understand why that sand is so much oranger than any we've seen it otherwise. It's probably some sort of optical thing with it being down this pit. Wow.
That's eroded blood. Wow. The same thing here. This is from muscle.
On this camera, I can already tell. The color's better. It's cold in here. The wind is like swirling, which I think is part of how it formed, which I looked it up on the way, and I'll talk about it in a minute. But
all right, he's going to try to figure out how it formed. Okay, so he's going to try to explain how he thinks it formed, and he talks about swirling things, I believe. I just saw him say that. And I agree with that. That certainly helped.
I just can't believe this is real. It looks so unreal.
All right, let's see what we can see from this. You see all these little wrinkles around here? See these wrinkles? Why would that be? All those wrinkles. And then down in there. Now let's see if anything else in this area shows us what this might be. You see the wrinkles? This is important. This is a clue. Whoops. You see these little nodule looking things? This blocks here. And it's coming up this way. All right. It wasn't just here. It was literally growing. This is my claims, my thinking. I could be wrong. Now the eye was over here. Now, I think it was over here. Now if I'm right, that eye would have attached to something over in this area. Because I'm telling you right now, I think this was a hair follicle.
So,
and I'll show you
it's kind of
why.
hard to find information about this place online because it's obviously way in the middle of nowhere. And a lot of people said you would need a rope to get onto the sand, but I'm looking here, and pretty small ledge with some very defined handholds. I'm assuming from search and rescue, putting those there after people have gotten stuck in here, and yeah, I'll be able to go down in there.
All right, now here it comes down from here. I say this is, that eyeball is like that muscle, because this is a muscle. And this is a hair follicle. And the erector pili muscle, it'd be like that eyeball. So there, it lashes out to an anchor. So that would have to come over to this side, right there. Whoops, hold on. I think I just saw where it went. Let me turn this thing really slow and see what we can make of this. First of all, you see the handheld stuff up there? Somebody chopped that in there so you can get in and out of here. So now let's go back just a hair. All right, he's getting down in here. This thing's big. Now don't forget, look at all the biology down here, all these swirls and all of these wrinkles. That's key, because I'm going to show you what hairs look like. And they all have a root ball like this. And this is, I believe, way down under the shaft. The hair would be way up here at the top of the surface. Woo! All right, this is going to be, I'm just going to turn it off. All right, so he made it down. Now, here's the face, if you call it a face. Now, watch. I believe it attached right over there. So there's the eyeball. It looks like an eyeball. It's nice and red, and it came over here and attached. And that way there, that hair could go up and down like this. And you say, oh, that's crazy. The hair couldn't be that big. Oh, yes, it could be that big. Well, this one here, this is just one I can hold in my hand, but it's 2 inches wide. And there's the root ball at the bottom. All right, and he's right about down to here. And all of that red stuff is around the root ball. Now, Let's just back it up just a hair again. All right, so this is where the eyeball is, right up there. Over to here is where it attaches to the muscle. Let's do it again. Let's check it. I don't want to go too fast. There it is right there. That's exactly how it would invest. Exactly. Okay, remember I told you to pay real close attention to that, all the wrinkly things around that cavity? I believe that was an infected hair. And all around there it became infected and bloody and festous and basically rotted away around the outside, and the hair shaft decreased down to where the ball is way down underneath. It's quite a ways down. Hold on. All right, my suggestion is this is what looks like that eyeball, and it would reach out to the, you know, tissue on the sides. On the top, there's all this wrinkly looking stuff. And that would have looked like the eyeball. And he's down somewhere around this area. And it looks, and it broke off basically right about up here. So it's got sort of lumpy looking things. And then it just, it's a hair follicle as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's dig a little deeper in there, and I'll show you. We'll go back again, look at it again, make sure we don't miss something. You see this? This is way down here is where that eyeball was. You got to get way up there till you get to the top of the skin. That's where that hole, that big bucket was. And all of this red fleshy stuff would have been, you know, it would have been soft tissue inflamed, I would think. At the time the thing died, it had some kind of skin condition or whatever. And that turned into a hole. And then, as he said, wind erosion and so forth, it will scrub around there and spin around there as like a sandblaster. Yes, I agree with that 100%. And that's what, I believe that's what we're seeing there. And he's down right about down here. This is exactly what I would expect. Where that muscle attaches, there's this very short piece about that long that is tendinous and it's strappy, and then it breaks right off. Right here, because at that point it's muscle much less structural than the tendon. So it's just missing here. And then it went over to that wall and stuck into that wall. This is precisely what I would expect to see. Now I have it running slow again. Now he's panning back up here. And this is where that muscle is right there, you see it? That's where I believe, whoops, oh shit, hold on. Okay, he's looking into this stuff, wondering what's going on here. Why are we having all these little shapes like this? We know as mudfossilerizers that these are connective tissues and muscle. Okay, muscle fibers eroded. The more connective tissue didn't erode as much as the reddish stuff, and the reddish stuff has come down here as literally blood cells.
This dune is unique to us today. This feature in the middle is wild too. It's so big. In pictures it looks small, but it is not small.
Oops. Oh, boy, I believe that is right where...
This sidewall is just a tapestry of cool rock swirls. Wow, yeah, that's so cool.
Those are all connective tissues. And the rest is just muscle fibers all wrapped around.
It's just been sculpted. This sand is...
Now this, I thought I could see the red and the black right here. The red and the black is up here. Because there's going to be blood vessels feeding this.
So orange, I swear, it's spice. It looks exactly like Spice from Dune.
That's good. That's big.
Take you guys a little bit closer to this crazy rock wall that's been sculpted by wind and water. We got some pretty cool patterns here up on this wall. Mother Nature's art. There's a view back that way.
That's all. It's all tissue.
This wall's almost even better. Look at those swirls. Here's these patterns up close. Again, very impressive stuff. Almost made a full circle of the thing. This island in the middle. Trying to get some photos as I go. Oh, this is a good view of it. Woo! That looks so cool, man.
Look at the size of this thing. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure that's what this is. And there would have been a root, a hair shaft going way up. Now here's where we're going to look at this. Hold on. That really, I'm pretty damn sure that is where the way the muscle wraps in like that. You know, the tendon basically. Well, I'm saying this is basically about like that. This appears to wrap into here. Do we see that? Maybe a little bit. Right there. And that's the eyeball. And that's the head. Or, boy, I don't know. It's hard to say. But there's no question in my mind it's biology. And again, I don't know what kind of creature it was. And that's a big hair. Big hair. All right, I have to admit, it has the look of a demon or a dragon or something, but you see that black and you see the red. Normally, that's the condition where you have an artery and a vein. Now, and again, I think that is the muscle right there, the attachment. And that is another one that attaches somewhere, I don't know where, and coming off of here, went over to that pocket on the inside. So, that's all I can say about that. See, this is up in that area. I think these are more hairs, but they didn't have that same condition where they rotted away, or, you know, there was. I think that must have been an infected hair. That's all I can take from it. All right, this is what I find interesting. This is where he was, and this obviously is different than if these were hairs. If that was a hair, which I think it was, and I think it was infected, these, I also believe, look to me like they're hairs. Now, that's the kind of thing I would love to have him report back on and say, what are those little stubbles? What are they sticking up there for? And are they're rocks, they're not bushes. And they appear to be, you know, fairly regular in that area. They're just all over the place, virtually everywhere. But that particular one, I think, was an infected hair. That's all I can tell you. They seem to be everywhere. But that particular one was serious. Now, as you saw, if that came up from that ball, which would be way down under the ground, and all of these have them, it would be way down under the ground, and what would be coming out is a little stalk like this, which is approximately like these. But this one festered and it looks like pus and everything else came out. I don't know. It does. It almost does. It looks like it was an infected pimple or something. Now, I think this is just what it was. It was an infected hair root. And these, I think, are other ones, and they're all over the place here. But, they didn't get infected. They just sort of broke off and rolled down the hill or whatever. The guy shaved, I don't know. They eroded, I don't know. But I remember I told you very carefully, make sure you understand how wrinkly that clay is around hairs. All right, you all know that there was a muscle right there that attached over to a place over here. I say this is that same thing, only it's going that direction. Now, what else can I see? You see this 2 spots right there? That's this here, a vein in the artery. Same thing right above it. You see it right above it? Same thing. Now, what about this thing right here? And this thing right here? Well, that's the thing right here. Right there. Is that thing. Now, this thing is right here. You see it? You gotta get it in exact right light. You see it right here? It's right there. So the muscle attaches across here so the hair can go up and down like this. It has to be fed. Every muscle in your body needs a substantial amount of blood. So there's where those 2 spots are right there. And then the stalk would have come up straight through. So I'm going with it. It's a hairball, hair root, and was infected. Now, I don't want you to forget about Bennu. Bennu, they came back with this, and it is a heart muscle, and that is a heart muscle here on Earth. They should look into this. These are the sarcomeres. I've shown this very, very clearly. And it's nothing but sarcomere muscle. And this is also sarcomere muscle itself, with layers of membranes, upper and lower, exactly what happens in sarcomeres in living or dead creatures, in this case, from an autopsy. We need to get some reality into what we're seeing. Even though it's spectacular, it's crazy, it's insane, yes, I never said it wasn't. Is it true? It's true to me. I think it is, if you look at it and see what you think. But people who don't look at it, they're never going to think. And that's what I've found, non-thinkers. All right, so, if you're here on my channel, you probably are a thinker. So I hope everybody else will join in. All right, love you all. Bye. This stuff is all over the place out there out west. Look at that. That is not just accidental. I don't know. They have so many ridiculous names for this because they can't. They call it pillow basalt. No, this is not pillow basalt. That's some kind of a membrane. And all this red stuff is not just red stuff. That's literally bloody tissue, and this is bloody blood. The geologists refuse to examine this because they cannot explain it, and the explanation is so overwhelming, it just bounces.